Hey ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the library. You're here with your host, Donald Wunder. Now we're going to catch up with an author I recently did a book review for. When I spoke about the book Influx by Daniel Suarez, I hope I pronounced the name right, this was a techno thriller about something I actually felt like was a little bit of a real life conspiracy theory. Don't want to get too much into that. Click on the annotation on the YouTube card on the right if you want to hear about that. But that was a book that I really enjoyed. I really enjoyed what it was saying. I believe the concept of that book is actually true to real life, and I'll get more into that video. So I was so impressed with the author, I decided to check out his other works because that book was made recently in 2014, but I wanted to go back to his critically acclaimed New York's bestseller Times book series, which is called Daemon and Freedom. Now, these two books are a two-part novel, which means it's a continuation story. It's a meaty read, and they were written 4 years apart. Like the first book, Daemon, was written in 2006, I believe, and the second one was written in 2010. And the plot of this novel starts with the first book called Daemon. Now, just so you know, a daemon in computer terms, because it's a technology word, it doesn't mean demon, it means daemon. Daemon is a program that sits in the background on your computer and does background tasks for you. And basically, the story to Daemon is this computer programmer, let's just call him, he's like a Steve Jobs kind of figure. He's a billionaire, he made all these computer games. And basically, when the book starts, he passes away. It's world news. Millionaire programmer dies, very influential guy. Then all these crazy things start happening. People start getting murdered in the company, and this computer program, this daemon, starts to take control and starts manipulating people's lives. And what you find out, without going into too many spoilers, is that before the programmer died, he set up this computer program to kind of, I don't want to say take over the world, but to start to have some very nefarious scheme that has some big conspiracy plot against a lot of people. And again, I don't want to get into spoilers, but it turns into this kind of computer trying to take over the world, ruining people's lives, and the police and people, hackers, the community, the world, all being devastated by what this dying programmer has unleashed on the world upon his death. When I started reading it, I liked the synopsis. I thought, this is interesting. I want to see how this rogue program sounded like a computer virus gone crazy, you know. Kind of reminded me of that film Eagle Eye, which is very lame. I never really liked that movie. And when you have this thought of artificial intelligence or a computer program being sentient or being smart enough to outsmart real people, you kind of have to suspend your disbelief. But once again, the author Daniel Suarez writes this story in such a compelling way, and there is actually a much bigger, more, I don't want to say philosophical, but more humanitarian story behind the curtain. But sticking to this first book, Daemon is just about this computer program, this daemon running wild, destroying people's lives, and the characters it deals with. And I just want to say, man, this book I think is really fun. I think it's really well executed. It was a New York Times bestseller, and the guy who wrote it, Daniel Suarez, is an IT professional. And I think the way he wrote this program taking over, in today's society, it's becoming more believable as technology is adapting more, as we're becoming more technologically enhanced as a society, and as technology is advancing on its own. And just hearing how this program gradually takes over and how the characters involved, how their lives, and you know, it's got to do with cops, it's got to do with hackers. But to me, this book has got to do a lot of the society of today, and how, don't get me wrong, what's happening is a little bit far-fetched, but it's not written in a super sci-fi way. It's not high sci-fi. It's not hard sci-fi. For an IT professional like myself, or someone who knows things about computers, the way the author wrote it was in a very believable way, a very entertaining way. This is not an ultra nerdy book at all. There's a lot of characters in the book that have no idea what's going on, that can't even handle the concept, who don't even want to accept the amount of control computers have in our lives. And just reading the book, even as a narrative to how much technology has completely taken over our lives, and how technology is so engulfed, it's just crazy. In the wrong hands, our whole lives are developed on technology. And you know, banks, money, most of money in real life is in numbers, in machines now, and just manipulating the stock exchange, the banks, the computers, it's just absolutely crazy. I thought this is a great techno thriller, very entertaining. You do have to suspend your disbelief somewhat. The only criticism I could give to it, to be honest with you, is that it ends on a cliffhanger because it's a 2-part novel which leads on to Freedom. And again, I'm not getting into spoilers, but I will say Freedom, most of the damage is done in the first book. So in Freedom, it's like it's a whole new world per se, and we're really getting into what the main character was trying to do with this daemon. In this second book, it has a bigger look on society, and has a bigger look in, I think, vilifying certain aspects of the government and vilifying people with aspirations and greed and stuff like that. To be honest with you, I just spoke about Mr. Robot not too long ago, and it's in the same vein of that. It really is, honestly, in the same vein of Mr. Robot, how those hackers in the series were taking over. But this is the program on its own, created by a creator that's dead now. A program that's dead, just let it gone wild. But it's about the society, about the aftermath of all this chaos. Freedom, I think these two are a great 2-part novel. The first, I won't lie actually, the first book, the first few chapters was very dry because it started off like a cop procedural, to be honest with you, and I wasn't really sure what was going on. But by not even by the halfway mark of the first book, Daemon, I was hooked. Super entertaining. The audiobooks were fan-fucking-tastic. I know a lot of people just who were reading the book at the time were so frustrated that the first book ended on a cliffhanger, but to me, I'm glad I didn't read it at that time because I got to read both of them at the same time. It's one story. There isn't a third part. The second book ends. I think this is a really good techno thriller that has something to say about society, and there's something to say about technology in our lives. And when I spoke about Daniel Suarez's first book, Influx, that was a completely different region of technology, but this is mostly about, this is much wider scope. And if you like Ready Player One, Mr. Robot, I highly recommend you check this out, because unlike Ready Player One, where we're set in the future, this book series, these 2 books, kind of show us how we can evolve into that Ready Player One multiplayer online super techno lifestyle, how that can actually happen. And with all these techno thriller shows and so much technology in TV and even in life, it's very appropriate. I'm a fan of tech, I've said that many times before, so this spoke to me. But honestly guys, if you can get this book on audiobook, check it out. The only caveat I would say, the first book, Daemon, the first couple of chapters, there's a bit of setup, it's a bit slow, but as soon as you get into like a quarter, 25% into the first book, it just goes off flying. I'm going to give these the same rating. I'm going to give it a high solid B. Nearly a first class. There's a bit of pacing problems, but these are fantastic techno thrillers, and we live in a time now where techno thrillers can be done properly because we have better technology. It's a lot easier for us to suspend our disbelief because a lot of these technologies with social media, with multiplayer online, with how we're so connected with the internet now, it's all available, it's all there. We're not so far from thinking something very bad like this can happen with all these computer hacks and all these crazy things happening online anyway. What this book is dealing with is definitely out of our realm, but 50 years from now, this is the worst case scenario that I think is kind of probable. But again, these 2 books, high solid B. Get the audiobooks if you can check them. If you're a techno fan, get the physical books, but I always aim for the audiobooks. But as I said before, the first book is a bit of a chug at the beginning, but as soon as you get into it, just a little bit, it's shining. This guy is fantastic. I've read 3 of his books now. I want to read the last book I haven't read of his so far, which I think is called The Kill Decision, which if I like it, I'll let you guys know. But this guy's a great writer, man, especially for someone who works in the IT industry. He knows what he's talking about. And he wrote a really compelling, 3 compelling IT techno thriller books. Fan-fucking-tastic. Great job, Daniel Suarez. Great to promote these guys. I'm great to promote these books to you guys. And if you have read them, if you're interested or you're going to read them, let us know what you think in the comments down below. I want to know. I'm interested. So guys, thanks for checking out another review. Thanks for listening to me ramble. If you want more content, hit that subscribe button and get those channel updates straight to your YouTube feed. You can also click on the annotations on the right there for the animation, TV shows, books, movies, and all the other stuff we do on Planet Tyro. And I want to say, most importantly, thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one. Take care. Peace out.